All right, well, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Walks and Wall Street. Today is Friday, January 26, 2024. It's an early start. Very, very seldom do we do these early live streams, but today we are going to do it because I have to attend to an event late tonight during the time slot where we usually stream. It's about 5:44 p.m. Eastern Time, live from Midtown Manhattan. We're reporting live directly under 432 Park Avenue. Check this out. You can see most of the clouds are moving out of the way too. Obviously, 432 Park is one of the most luxurious and sought-after luxury condominiums in the city, with the developer being Harry Macklow, who also did One Wall Street, which was the largest office-to-condo conversion in the city's history. But tonight we're going to be talking about a couple things. If you've been watching the streams throughout the week, we were talking a lot about earnings season. Now, earnings season is well underway. Last week kicked us off with the major banks, the banking institutions, the investment banks, JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, and the like. And we sort of talked about what we can gain, right? What valuable information can we gauge from a lot of the financial companies reporting earnings. And we talked a lot about credit cards, right? We talked a lot about increased credit card delinquencies, but not only that, we're seeing growing credit balances. But at the same time, if you take a look at the St. Louis Federal Reserve's website, or Fed data, money in money market accounts have reached an all-time record high. I believe there's over $6.7 trillion in cash sitting in money market accounts across the United States. It's a lot of dry powder sitting on the sidelines, accruing at 5% interest. Now, if we look at the equity market, the S&P 500 closed pretty much about flat, down 3 points on the day, closing at 4,890. We've been in this little bit of a holding pattern after we had this rip-roaring rally into all-time record highs. This week, we hit a brand new, fresh all-time record high for the S&P 500. Take a look at the NDX, which is the NASDAQ 100, which has more of the higher beta tech stocks in it. That was down almost 100 points, 95 points to be exact, 17,421 in the NASDAQ. Giving back a little bit, today was another churn day. This will probably mark the 6th distribution day on the NASDAQ 100. We'll talk about what that means later. And then the DJI, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, closed up 60 points, 38,109, but well off the highs of the day. The Dow intraday actually rallied all the way to 38,195, closed mid-range of the day. Last but not least, we will shift gears here and go to cnbc.com/bonds. Take a look at the yield curve. Now, yields were up across the board. We had a little bit of a sell-off today in the bond market. If we look at the U.S. 10-year Treasury yield, we finished the week at 4.1%. And if we look at the 2-month, we're at 5.39%. So the yield curve is still very aggressively inverted here. We've talked about what that means. We'll shift gears abroad. We'll take a look at the UK government bond market, or gilts is what they're called. The 2-year UK bond is trading at 4.34%, and the 30-year is 4.5%. And then last but not least, we'll check out our friends in Germany with the German Bund, the 10-year yielding 2.3%, and the 30-year German Bund yielding 2.5%. Let's check the average 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. So according to bankrate.com, as of today, January 26th, the average 30-year fixed-rate mortgage in the United States is 6.99%, so just about 7%. However, that's a little bit inaccurate. If you have good credit, chances are you'll probably get like a 6.5% mortgage. but that's, you know, the average right around there. Some New York City real estate updates. You know, I'm seeing on the ground floor here transaction volume and transaction activity pick up significantly. We talked about a record-breaking sale at Central Park Tower. The duplex that sits atop at Central Park Tower just sold and closed for $149 million. Kind of wild, kind of crazy. Now, also on our team, the Kirsten Jordan team at Douglas Elliman, we just put unit number 2 at Gramercy North in contract for $2,495,000. And then we put unit 2B at the Conover, which is a 2-bed, 2-bath, 2.5-bath apartment in contract for $1.5 million. So it's been a good month so far. It's shaping up to be a good month. I'm seeing a lot of deal flow come back into the marketplace. Buyers are starting to step up to the plate now that rates have come down a little bit. And I'm assuming, right, we should never assume, but if I had to make a prediction, I think we're going to see a lot more inventory come onto the market as we head towards that spring selling season. Because there's not a lot of good inventory, particularly in resales in the market right now. That's really about all I got. So let me go ahead and close up the laptop here. I'll say hello to everybody in the chat, and we will go ahead and get started. This is the last announcement that we have. Last Thursday, I did send out the second Behind the Street newsletter of 2024. So if you did not receive that, go ahead and check your email, or you could scan the QR code on your screen, and you will be able to receive all of our equity research for free, published every other Thursday after the market closes. Now, if you can't scan the QR code, you could type !news, NEWS, in the chat, and the Nightbot will drop the link to our Substack. We covered the US equity markets, emerging markets, fixed income, and all things New York City real estate. So we'll get started here in just a moment. Happy Friday to everybody. Hopefully you had a good week. All right, and we're off. So here we are standing directly under 432 Park. It's a beautiful night. It was a crummy day in New York, though. Almost all day, it was kind of this misty, rainy, windy, kind of nasty. But things are clearing up, which is good news. Hopefully there'll be no rain over the weekend. But Sunday is shaping up to be a rainy day, according to the experts. So we'll see. TV show, what's up? Lady O is here. Long time no see. Hopefully you're doing well. Vivian Francesca, DC322, Mr. Porter says, as long as cash is paying more than the rate of inflation, it's staying put. Says Mr. Porter, good to see you. Jimmy Hook says, good evening, Tom. What is going on, Jimmy Hook? Happy to see everybody. DM, welcome, welcome, welcome. Kurt H. and Joe. All right, let's start this off a little bit earlier than normal. I do have a dinner to attend to tonight, so unfortunately we will not be able to stream at our regular scheduled time, which is right around 8:30. But I think it'll be cool to see the city, I guess technically during rush hour, right? This is pretty much when everybody's getting out of the office, commuting back home. So there's gonna be a lot more street traffic than there normally is when we're doing the live streams. Now this is Park Avenue. This is 425 Park. This is the temporary headquarters of Citadel Securities until they build their massive office tower. Just steps away from 270 Park. Well, let's head all the way to the east side tonight. We'll try to walk a little bit of the ways down Park Avenue, but then we'll start to head over to the east side of Manhattan. Now we're headed towards 42nd Street, Grand Central Station. Lady O says, yeah, rush hour time. Now, if we were streaming probably right on Canal Street, that's probably gridlock right now, because everybody is either trying to head towards the Manhattan Bridge, right, to head back to Brooklyn, or they're taking the tunnel to head out and go home to New Jersey. So this will be a more action-packed stream, I guess. More foot traffic, more vehicle traffic as we head down past the Ferrari showroom here. Jen Claus, Abdullah, what's up? You know what, let's take a pit stop at the Seagram building. It's one of my favorite office towers in Manhattan. Now, I'm not sure if anybody saw there was a really good interview yesterday on CNBC. I forget the gentleman's name. I don't know how I'm forgetting his name, but he's one of the most well-known, I would say, CRE brokers in Manhattan. So CRE, commercial real estate brokers. And he did a segment talking about, a lot of the things that we talk about right here on the stream. How there's record vacancy in office in Manhattan. And sort of what can we do with this, and how it's a little bit easier said than done converting all of those office buildings into condos. Essentially what will probably happen as demolition costs come down, those buildings will probably be demoed. They'll sell close to land value, and then they'll probably build residential, which will be good. And that sort of adds into my bull thesis for New York, because we've sort of shifted from an environment where we don't really need a lot of this office space. The office space that's doing very well are these Class A office towers, like the 425 Park, like One Vanderbilt. There's a few others that are going up. 270 Park is another one that we're about to pass in a moment. And then last but not least, the 2 Penn Project and the Hudson Yards. So the quality buildings, the floor-to-ceiling glass windows, the big open floor plates, those are gonna do well. It's the older, Class B, Class C, 1980s, 1970s office is going to do really poorly. So I think it's going to be short-term pain, but long-term it's going to be extreme gain for New York City, because we're in a housing crisis. You don't have to be on one political side of the aisle or the other to agree that New York City particularly is going through a severe housing crisis. Things are expensive. And it's a pretty simple fix. It's supply and demand. This is Economics 101. This is the Seagram building right here. In order to bring prices down, you need more supply. And there's pretty much no supply in New York City. So as a lot of these deals get done, what my prediction is, and my viewpoint has been, any of the buildings that cannot be converted into condominiums will probably be demoed, right? So there'll be demolition, and in its place is going to be, the majority of these buildings will probably be brand new residential, which is fantastic news, right? I think that's going to bring a lot of liveliness to the city, because the more people that live here, the more people that can afford to live here, that will fill up the office space that we have. That is the Class A office space. And I think that's going to trickle down to the local mom and pop shops, the retail storefronts. And I think in 5 years, even 10 years, the city's going to look a lot different, and you're going to have a lot new product in terms of residential in the pipeline. Any thoughts about that? Agreements, disagreements? Hey, Manny Santos, what's up? This is Happy Friday. Thanks so much. Yeah, I'm shot. I mean, to tell you guys the truth, man, this week totally blew me out. I'm tired. And I think it's because it's been so cloudy, like every single day. I don't even remember the last time I saw the sun. I think the last time I saw the sun was probably when I was in Miami last week. It's been this gray overcast almost every day. So hopefully the weekend will be a little bit nicer. We'll see. Hey, Ren 1018 is turning downtown office building into residential buildings is going to be huge. I think the gentleman's name was Bob. I forget his last name, but if you just type in on like YouTube or something, CNBC Bob commercial real estate, he's going to pop up. He's one of the most experienced, most successful commercial real estate brokers in the city. Now, you're right, Lower Manhattan has gone under tons of office to condo conversions, but a lot of the times it's near impossible and it's so expensive. So as these buildings valuations drop, right, because the way you evaluate commercial real estate is on the income it produces. It's very different than residential real estate, right? So if you have a commercial office building that's 100% occupied, and everybody's paying rent on time, that building is going to be worth a fortune. But if you just have a random big building that's, you know, office and retail, and it's 70% vacant, it's worthless. Well, I think you get the picture, not in a literal sense. But yeah, you know, we were talking about some real life examples, right? I gave the example of 5 East 59th Street. That was actually a building that we were going to go after. The Culinary Group. That used to be the old Playboy Club. There was about $85 million worth of bad debt on that building, and it just sold at auction for $23 million. I mean, that's a steal. I mean, think about that for a moment, okay? The entire building at 5 East 59th Street, that's right next to the Sherry Netherland Hotel. It's right across the street from the Plaza Hotel, and it's right on Central Park South and 5th Avenue. Sold for $23 million at auction. Guys, there's some apartments that sell for more than that, right? Just an apartment. So I think there's going to be really great opportunities, and, you know, hopefully, being the optimist that I am, we'll get some good residential product in the city, and that's what we need. All right, we're passing Blackstone, Steven Schwartzman and Company. Hey, D is here. What's up? Good to see you, Peter. Says you refer to your team at Douglas Elliman is DEA Holding Company for a number of... No. So Douglas Elliman is a broker. They are the real estate brokerage, right? And there's individual teams at the brokerage, right? So if you want to start a team, you can. And essentially, we represent Douglas Elliman, but we have a team there, if that makes sense. So it's not like we're an individual broker, right? In theory, you could do that. Maybe I'll do that down the line. But no, Douglas Elliman is the brokerage. But Kirsten Jordan just has a team. We have about 5 members on the team. Hey, ERB, what's up? This is hello everybody and happy Friday evening. Thank you so much. This is East 51st Street. Standing right outside of Blackstone. You can see it right here. Hey, Dan Sang, what's up? Good to see you. Yeah, we're streaming early. I had to attend an event tonight. You can kind of see the clouds are almost overtaking the entire top of 432 Park. Pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, even from, you know, a local perspective here in the city, things are really picking up. My boss said something that really resonated with me. She said this a while ago. She said, in the real estate business, one day you'll have nothing going on, and then an hour later you'll have everything going on. And that's so true. That's exactly what I've sort of experienced. All the people that you've been calling, all the people that you've been going after to try to get out and look at product, it'll be radio silence, it'll be crickets, and then it's like the world erupts. And everybody wants to see the projects. Everybody wants to bid on the same ones. It's weird. You kind of see human psychology at play. Once there's an offer on a unit, it's pretty much like everybody wants what they can't have, if that makes sense. So the moment that we put something in contract, everybody else that's seen it is like, oh no, wait, I want it now. I want it now. It's a very interesting display of human emotions. But yeah, things are picking up, both in Manhattan and Brooklyn. Yeah, Lisette says maybe fear of missing out. True. Dan Sang says congrats on selling that unit. Hope you don't have to go back and forth between Manhattan and Brooklyn anymore. Yeah, so I still will, but I appreciate that. Yeah, that was a good sale. I'm really happy for the buyer too. If you want to see what the unit looks like, if you type exclamation point 23 in the chat, once again exclamation point 23, it'll drop the link to the property tour of Unit 2 at Gramercy North. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment, 1,500 square feet of interior space with a 580 square foot outdoor terrace. It's pretty cool. I just put it in contract at $2,495,000. And this month, we had Unit 2B at the Conover, which I just did the final walkthrough with the client today, put in contract at $1.5 million. And both of these deals, by the way, and this is an interesting data point, both these deals, all cash. Nobody's using financing. So in Manhattan, right, there's been a lot of those articles coming out about, a lot of wealthy people are actually moving back into Manhattan. And it's creating like this ecosphere of ultra wealthy people in the city. And that's exactly what I'm seeing on the ground floor in the real estate market. I'm seeing big buyer interest with all cash deals, and they're trying to get a deal, right? Particularly on new development. If you can come in with an all cash offer, you could close in 30 days, chances are you're going to get some concessions, right? So yeah, so a little bit over 4 million in contract for January. So fingers crossed, if all this closes, that's going to be a really good month. So I'm very, very blessed on that. Look at this little character here. This is called Cause. Hey, what's up, Dave? Western Mass Dave is here. Welcome to Park during the New York City rush hour. Cy R says, hey Tom, have you watched the TV show Succession? I have not, but I have had it recommended to me multiple times. I'm just not a big TV guy. I very, very seldom watch TV. It's very difficult for me to watch TV, but I will check it out, I promise. Caitlin says the Hemsley building looks very pretty tonight. It does look very pretty. Looks absolutely beautiful. We'll check it out right now. You can see the Hemsley building and the MetLife building in the distance. Stephanie's here, what's up? Good to see you. Let's see here. BHG says, Tom, have you ever flipped properties, like fixed them and then sold them? I have not personally, but I do know people who have. That's not really my forte. The property I own, I plan on owning it for life. And that's not necessarily the best strategy. But for me, I just want to accumulate properties and then pass them down to my kids. Then my kids pass them down to their kids. That's kind of what I'm looking to do. Because I've noticed, like growing up, we never owned anything, right? We never, there's no like inheritance to pass down to me of like property. But I noticed that all the people that I know that are really wealthy, right? They come from very wealthy families. They have a very common trait, and that's they own a lot of stuff. So they say, oh yeah, we have a house here. Oh, we have an investment property here. And they've had it in the family for a long, long time. So I think my strategy with it is just gonna buy property, hold it, and keep it in the family forever. Well, let me reorient the chat here. But I'd say in this environment, and particularly throughout the C-19 pandemic, like the place I bought in South Florida, I got an unbelievable thunderous deal on it because nobody wanted to do any work, right? So if you can find something, right, and buy it below market value, it's kind of like that old saying, what you want to do is you want to buy great assets at great prices. So I wouldn't be afraid to look at something that needs a little bit of work, you know, not something that is not structurally sound, but little things that most people don't want to do, that if you put a little bit of elbow grease into it, you know, you can significantly increase the value of the property, right? So basic like facade work, you know, maybe you could, you know, blow down one of the non-load bearing walls to open up a space, something like that. A lot of the landscaping you can do on your own if like the driveway looks really shoddy. Just things like that, that on the appearance of it, if you can, you know, invest a couple $1,000s to get a return of, let's say, 10 to 20,000 on the property, I think things like that are good. But if you, 9 times out of 10, if you buy a property that's turnkey and perfect, you're gonna pay for a property that's turnkey and perfect, if that makes sense. Which is fine too, but. All right, this is JP Morgan Chase. We're looking at the Hemsley building and One Vanderbilt in the clouds. Yeah, Western Mass Dave says Tom's done some great things at his property. I appreciate that. Appreciate that, Dave. Yeah, and these are all like very inexpensive things too. You don't need to spend a whole lot of money to make the place look nice, more inviting, more welcoming. All right, we'll get one more shot of 270 Park. It's a pretty cool shot, right? That's gonna be the brand new JP Morgan Chase office tower. Hey, DC is here, what's going on? Lemonades is the only thing that can be an issue is plummeting property values and great areas become depressed over time. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the risk you take. Things can go up, things go down. Generally speaking, you want to buy in an area and a neighborhood that has, number one, good population growth with a younger populace and good job growth. So you want to make sure you look to buy in an area that generally is very business friendly, right? That's attracting a lot of jobs. So big job creation and stability within its job creation. That's mainly been one of the problems historically with South Florida, by the way, because Florida has been very transient. The state of Florida, you know, more general, the state of Florida has been very transient, but specifically South Florida, it's been people that have second homes, pied-à-terres, things like that, more transient in nature. But now, right, I would say the difference now is you have a lot of big anchor business down there, right? Not only in Miami-Dade, but also in Broward and Brevard County. I was telling you guys, I was meeting with a real estate developer in Miami, great group of guys and girls. And Satellite Beach, Florida, which is in Brevard County, about 2 hours north of Fort Lauderdale, Satellite Beach doesn't really have all that much new product, but there's a lot of job growth with very, very high paying salaries, which never used to be the case before. So in Satellite Beach, you have SpaceX coming into the picture, right? You have Blue Origin, which is Jeff Bezos' competing rocket company with SpaceX. And you also have the military base, the new branch of the military, the Space Force, which is right there. So, you know, generally speaking, you want very good, robust population growth, business-friendly environment, and very stable job growth. And that should dampen, I think that should dampen some of the volatility in the South Florida real estate market. Places like Miami, Fort Lauderdale got crushed during the 2008 financial crisis, because guess who was buying a lot of real estate in South Florida leading up to the crisis? Well, it was people that couldn't afford, you know, second, third, and fourth homes, right? So a lot of that stuff went into foreclosure. Yeah, I was looking at some crazy comps in areas like North Miami Beach and North Beach in Miami. Some of the homes that are now selling for like $650, $700 in 2008, right? Even in 2010 and 11, they were selling for like $260,000, which is insane. Yeah, and if you notice, if you look at a chart like the S&P 500, the S&P started to recover way before the housing market did. I would say in terms of price, I would say 2012, 2013 is when housing really started to rip and come off the bottom. I don't know, would you guys agree with that from your neighborhood or your neck of the woods? From what you were seeing in 2008 with foreclosure signs on pretty much every lawn. And then 2011, 12, 13 kind of had that, you know, really big swing to the upside. This is Grand Central Station, 200 Park Avenue. Ooh, they're having a Capitol Grill opening soon here. I love the Capitol Grill. There's one very close to Radio City Musical. Hey, Who Dat Dave's is March 9, 2009 was the bottom of the market. Good to see Who Dat Dave. Trisha Johnson, what's up? Coming up on our right on Vanderbilt Avenue, that is the Roosevelt Hotel. That's the biggest sort of migrant center facility. I know exactly where the satellite beach is now that you mentioned, the Space Force base. Very cool. You said I had been to the beach there a few years ago. Really nice area and particularly quiet. Yeah, there's so the development that I was meeting about, if you want to take a look at it, it's called Lumina Satellite Beach. It's going to be 3 buildings, 44 units each. So what's that, 132 units total? Luxury condos right on the water, like oceanfront, really cool stuff. And I believe they've already pre-sold about 25 units, and they didn't even break ground on the project yet. So it's a really impressive project. And I'm really not too familiar with the area. They were, you know, they gave me a great presentation of the job growth. You know, these are quite literally rocket scientist jobs there, which is cool. Oh, also Grumman. I never knew that, by the way. So I'm from Long Island, as you guys know. I'm used to Grumman. Every time I think about Grumman, I think of Long Island, right? Because that's, you know, where it always is. But apparently, they moved a big portion of the business down there to Satellite Beach. Who Dat Dave's is Melbourne, Florida is a nice city and relatively close to Disney as well. Dave, what do you think about that Bright Line now? I think that's going to be very transformational for South Florida. Because if you ever want to make, I'll go a step further. And I'm a big bull on Miami, Fort Lauderdale. Obviously, I mean, I'm kind of talking my own book here. I own property there, but if Miami really wants to work as well as like in New York City, they have to do a little bit better on the public transportation, because you kind of need a car there. And they're trying, right? So they've extended the Bright Line to go from downtown Miami all the way to Orlando. So there's tons and tons of stops now. It goes all the way through Fort Lauderdale, goes to Orlando now, and I think that's going to connect everything really nice. Hey, Two Wheel Freedom, what's up? Welcome to Grand Central Station. You know what? I think it'll be cool to take you guys inside Grand Central so you can see what it looks like. And we'll go this side. So you can see what it looks like during the rush hour time. Oh, cool. Vinny says, I'll be taking the Bright Line from Orlando to Miami in March. Looking forward to it. Let us know how it is, please. Let me know how it is. Now, the Bright Line, the track goes right past my house. So, like, the gates will go down and I see the Bright Line. It looks nice. It looks like a really nice train. I've never taken it before. So let us know what you think. Let's just get a quick peek at the Chrysler building first. Yeah, the only other major transportation project I've heard about, apparently they want to extend the Metro Mover from downtown Miami to South Beach. I think that would be fantastic, but there's a lot of people boycotting it. We'll see what happens. All right, everybody, this is the Chrysler building. Looks pretty cool. Peters, they had a squash tournament inside Grand Central Station a couple nights ago. A few years ago, I went to that. I think they have it every year. It's like an annual thing. I used to have a friend. I haven't spoken to him in a while, but apparently he was the world champion in squash. If you look him up, he's from Egypt. He was a really nice guy. I haven't spoken to him in a while. Hassim Hashour, I believe. Hashour. I think this was back in 2014. He won the squash world championships or something like that. All right, Madison Avenue, 42nd Street. Oh, the ABX girl, I didn't know that. ABX girl says Grumman made buses for the MTA. Huh. Never knew that. Oh, Krog Dog, that's cool. We walked right past your office building. Hang with Mark Mom, what is up? Happy Friday to you. We're out early tonight. Yeah, we're talking about the Bright Line, which is the train that they finally extended all the way to Orlando, Florida. Hopefully everybody had a productive week. Now next week, and we'll talk about this more on Sunday night, when we do the Markets Look Ahead stream. Next week is the final week of January. It's kind of crazy to think about, but it's true. And that means we are going to hear from our good friends at the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell and his buddies will be putting on the show at the FOMC meeting, January 30th through the 31st. Currently, the Fed funds rate is in a range of 5.25% to 5.5%. We'll see if there's any material changes next week. I don't think there will be, to be honest, but wow, this looks like a new restaurant. Or maybe it's not a new restaurant, but they just took down the scaffolding. It's kind of crazy. Like, if you live in New York City, you'll kind of know what I mean. If you constantly walk down a street with scaffolding, and then the next day, the scaffolding is magically gone, it looks like a whole new city block. I think that's what may have happened here. All right, this is Library Way. And we're looking right at the Stephen Schwarzman building, New York Public Library. Yeah, I know. So Two Will Freedom says it was very crowded last night for a Thursday, or was it because it was Times Square? Even though it was Times Square, that was very crowded for this time of year, in my opinion. I mean, end of January on a Thursday, and the weather was kind of crummy. At least, I mean, it was warm, but it was cloudy. Tourists are out, people are spending. But in my opinion, by being here for as long as I have, I'm surprised at the amount of tourist activity in this city right now. If you saw last night's live stream, the city was absolutely on fire last night. Tons and tons of people. Now, I think they're restoring the facade on the Andaz Hotel. Oh, Carlos, that's my old college, Berkeley College. Cool. Yeah, Berkeley is a good school. So is this their main campus? I thought I saw another couple Berkeley awnings on the other side, but nice. Hey, Rex. Hey, Tom, just wondering why food costs keep going up? I'm wondering the same thing. Food is ridiculously expensive, particularly in New York City, especially food away from home. I mean, every time I go out to eat in this city, when I think back to pre-pandemic, even 2014, 15, and 16, right? The lunch that I used to have for 15 bucks is now 25 bucks at minimum. It's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. And not only is it more expensive, but I've been noticing that every time I order the similar, style lunches that I order from, the restaurants around here, the food portions are so much smaller. So not only are things getting more expensive in terms of food, I think the portions are getting smaller, at least from my opinion. I don't have any concrete data on that, but just from what I experience. Shrinkflation, I guess, is what you could call it. All right, let's cross here. There seems to be a lot of police barricades up. As we were walking past the Trump Tower last night, there was a ton of NYPD activity because the former president apparently is in the city still. Hey, Irving says, Tom, where is the Edison Hotel? I'm not 100% sure, to be quite honest. I am familiar with it, but I'm not too sure the exact location. Looks like people are out taking wedding photos here. Rex says agreed. Yeah, I mean, even when I go to Chipotle, which I never go to Chipotle anymore. But the last time I've been to Chipotle, I think it's like $16, maybe even pushing $17 for like a steak bowl now. And there's really no food. I feel like I'm not even eating any food. If anything, I get increasingly more hungry when I go there, so I don't go anymore. However, in terms of the business functionality, I'm actually very bullish long-term on a lot of the QSR, quick service restaurants, particularly because of automation. So robotics, AI, things like that. Sweet Green came out with And I believe we talked about this already. So Sweet Green is like that salad company. I'm not a big person that eats salads, to be honest. But Sweet Green already has what they call ghost kitchens. So instead of having actual employees prepare your salad, you order it on a little kiosk and the robots make it all for you, and they have perfect portions. So if you think about some of the shrink or the slippage that they call from human error, you know, Chipotle, you're supposed to get an exact portion of rice, an exact portion of chicken, an exact portion of steak. But we all know, you know, if you're nice to the guy or girl behind the counter, they may give you a little bit extra, you know, because they're being nice. A robot has no emotions. They give you the same exact portion every time, and they're going to charge you the same exact price every time. So that totally eliminates any of the shrink, which I think is going to explode gross margins, and it's going to increase customer satisfaction because wait times are going to go down significantly, in my opinion. But I think it's coming. I think everything that's kind of like an assembly line. So Sweet Greens, that place Cava, Chipotle, the New Jersey version of Chipotle, I think it's called Qdoba or something. I think all of that is going to be automated. So it's going to be all robotics, robot style kitchens. I don't know, what do you guys think about that? Agree, disagree? Here's my only kind of contrarian take. A lot of coffee shops are trying to push for, you know, the robotics. So you order the coffee and then a robot makes your coffee. I think that's the only business model where it's actually not going to work. Because if you think about it, the vast majority of people, if you're in New York City or a big city where it's very common for you to go out to coffee with coworkers, you're not necessarily going out to get the coffee. It's the experience of interacting with people, talking to people, and talking to the barista. You make friends with them. It's just gonna lose like the allure of doing it if it's just like a robot. I don't know. That's kind of my opinion anyway. This is the Bryant Park Grill.
What if I had to take one for the
Hey, MK, this is robots don't serve real food. They will soon. SoCal Lawrence is next. We'll have robot security guards and put my company out of business. Well, didn't the NYPD buy some like $200,000 robot that they put in Times Square? Did anybody see that thing? I saw it once. Hang with Mark Mom says it's like old time automats in New York, except for humans. Oh, Vinny says we are going to the travel expo at the Javits Center tomorrow, then dinner. Oh, very cool. Oh, so Vinny, my friend texted me today and he said he was in town at the Jacob Javits Center, but he said it was a boat show going on. He wanted me to stop by. Maybe, is that what you're talking about? Or maybe it's the boat show today and then tomorrow is something else. I don't know, but I think I know what you're talking about because my friend wanted me to meet him there today at the Javits Center. I was just so busy, I couldn't. All right, everybody, welcome to Bryant Park. They still have the ice skating rink here. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these live streams every day starting at 8:30, but today we're doing a little bit early. Two Real Freedom says it would make an interesting sitcom, robots chit-chatting, yeah, with coffee, for sure. I think anything like bartending, going to a coffee shop, I don't think those humans will ever be replaced, right? Because chances are, and correct me if I'm wrong, right? I mean, everybody has their different opinion. If you go to get a drink at a bar and you sit at the bar, chances are you're doing it not because essentially you could just go to this grocery store and, you know, buy a 6-pack of beer for $8, you know, and drink it at your house. But, you know, you want to have, you know, the bartender, you know, waiting on you, pouring you the drink. You say what's up, you ask how your day was, and you're kind of just enjoying the environment, if you will. I don't think you'll have that same experience with the robot. Agreed or disagree? So I think bartenders will actually become increasingly more valuable in the age of robotics. I know it sounds weird, like it's a very niche thing, but there'll always be a gap or demand for human interaction. It's kind of weird we're even having that conversation, but it's a very 2024 conversation for sure. There'll always be demand for human interaction. Do you think we'd ever be having that conversation if it was 1995? Super strange. I know, Bree Graham says kids best be learning to repair their robots. Well, Tesla's working on, what is it called? Optimus. Their Optimus robot. Maybe they'll, instead of the auto body shops, perhaps there'll be like an Optimus repair shop. There's a lot of people ice skating tonight. It looks beautiful. It's cool.
Group 1, you have 10 minutes left to skate.
Hey RB, what's up? We're just talking about robots tonight. I know, Peter says it's the weekend, everybody's out. They have cabin fever. Yeah, I know I definitely do, but I'm actually a little bit, I'm tired. I'm gonna try to sleep in tomorrow. It's been a busy week. We'll make one lap around and then we'll head down. I have to go back to 30th Street anyway. Check that out. Pretty cool shot of the Empire State Building in the clouds. Michael says, have you thought about a potential banking crisis once people are laid off and can't pay for mortgages? I guess what would be the catalyst? So you say, have you thought about a potential banking crisis once people are laid off and can't pay for mortgages? I guess I don't understand necessarily the question, because I guess you can kind of say anything, right? Like, have we thought about a potential banking crisis should there be thermonuclear war and we all get vaporized, right? Then yeah, that would probably cause a banking crisis too. But I guess there would have to be like some sort of catalyst. So are you saying that you're forecasting a recession for 2024, which is going to lead to mass layoffs, which then in turn would lead to massive defaults on mortgage payments? Have I thought about it? Yeah. But the good news is one of the things we can do is we can look for clues in bank earnings particularly, right? So it is earnings season. Oh, this is kind of cool because the fountain used to be totally frozen last week. Michael says AI replacing their jobs. Yeah, so I'll give you my answer for that. And I've been hearing this narrative a lot. A lot of people have been saying that artificial intelligence is going to cause mass layoffs, it's going to throw so many people out of work, and that it's going to crash the economy. I actually have a different take. And essentially you could take the same sort of adoption curve of any type of technology and project it and model it for AI. So I'll give you an example. Usually when you have a very disruptive technology, it crushes and makes those jobs fully obsolete. But the good news is that it also in turn or in tandem creates about 3x the amount of jobs that it destroys on average, right? So I mean, think about how many jobs the internet totally destroyed and took to zero, right? One of my really good friends actually used to work for a company called the Yellow Pages. Is anybody familiar, or does anybody know the company Yellow Pages? So essentially Yellow Pages used to mail you a physical phone book in the mail. And what his job was, he would work right in New York City, in one of these office buildings. He would make cold calls to small businesses to advertise in the Yellow Pages. And that was a very lucrative job for him back in the day. And he had so many coworkers, hundreds of coworkers. There was whole business models around advertising in the Yellow Pages. The internet took that to zero. All of those jobs are totally gone now, right? But think about all of the jobs that the internet created in terms of advertising. I mean, the advertising business hasn't ever been more lucrative in lifetime on the internet. From Facebook ads, YouTube advertising, you know, you can monetize your own stuff, you know, and you could be in ad sales for Google. You could be in advertising sales for, you know, Yelp or whatever. I mean, name all the companies you could, right? And these are even more lucrative jobs because they're digital ads, pay-per-click advertising. And that's just a very teeny tiny example, right? And the internet, I mean, think about all the jobs in like cloud computing and SaaS, software as a service, software engineering, right? None of those jobs existed back then. I mean, chances are if you are in a major city like New York, San Francisco, Toronto, and you are a software salesman or saleswoman at like a Microsoft or any tech company, you know, you're probably, and if you're good at your job, you're probably knocking down well over, you know, $250,000 a year. So my answer to that question is, will AI destroy and replace a lot of jobs? 100% absolutely. But it's also going to create probably about 3 times the amount of jobs that it destroys. And if the follow-up question is, okay, well, name some of the jobs that it's going to create. I can't. I don't know. And I think if you ask the same question, right, when the Yellow Pages was going under and nobody was buying advertising in the Yellow Pages on physical print anymore, you could say the same thing, right? In the early 90s, if I came to you in the future and said, hey, you know, my name is Tom from the future, and I work at Amazon AWS, I sell cloud computing and cloud hosting services, or I'm a Salesforce administrator, or I'm a full stack engineer, or I work on electronic visit verification or EMR software. You'd be like, what? What is that? Right, those are millions of jobs that didn't even exist. We don't even know the names of them. So I think AI is going to do exactly that. It's going to create jobs that we can't even fathom. We can't even like comprehend the names of these jobs. Fast forward 10 years. That's sort of my thesis on it. I guess another example would be at the creation of the automobile, right? The horse and buggies, there was all types of businesses and micro businesses of, you know, being a horse and carriage driver, right? Servicing the horse and carriages. All of that is pretty much a big zero now, but look at all the jobs that it created. Now you have an Uber driver. You're a mechanic working on those vehicles. You have all, auto repair shops. You have auto body shops making the parts for these vehicles, right? So you have to kind of expand your think. And I know that some people may say that sounds a little bit condescending, but you have to have a crazy optimistic outlook and expand like the possibilities. Because you can go down a rabbit hole with just the endless opportunities that, the internet has created. And I think it's going to be the same exact thing with AI. I don't know, any thoughts, disagreements with that, agreements? I could be wrong, but that's sort of how I'm playing it. Al Baker, what's up? Welcome to New York City and happy Friday. Thanks for joining us. D, what's up? Since I heard today, Ree was laying off employees at their distribution center. Wayne McKay, this is like YouTube live streamer, yeah. I mean, in 1995, I don't even think the term live stream existed, right? When did Mark Cuban invent broadcast.com? Which I think that was kind of originally the first like streaming broadcast service, wasn't it? Broadcast.com. Vinny says the next banking problem will be auto loan defaults, not housing, high interest rates, and auto equity underwater. Potentially, maybe. Hey, yesterday 15. Happy Friday. Welcome to Midtown Manhattan. Town now says 700,000 AI robots will replace the Amazon package workers in the warehouses. Yeah, probably. It'll probably fleece all of those jobs. But maybe that's a good thing. Do we ever think about that? Let's try to reframe. Let's try to do a reframe here, right? So instead of having the doom narrative of, oh my gosh, it's going to destroy all of those warehouse jobs and those people are not going to have any work. Let's try to do a series of reframes. Okay. Reframe, here's the reframe that I would give. Chances are if anybody has experience working in a warehouse, particularly an Amazon warehouse, that is a very grueling, tedious, monotonous, labor-intensive job. So maybe it's not all that bad that we can say, hey, instead of having a human bust their back, standing up, getting knee problems and back problems and having a sedentary lifestyle at the warehouse, we can have a robot do that job for them, and then they could do something else. So I think the more mundane and routine the task is, the higher probability that it'll be automated away by some sort of robot or AI. And I think that's a good thing, actually, right? It may seem scary right now, right, and a little intimidating if somebody's watching this that's an Amazon warehouse worker, but what if you get retooled and retrained to working on something that you actually want to pursue, right? That is a little bit less stressful on your body, a little bit less monotonous and routine and mundane. I think that could be a net positive for society. This warehouse work is hard and it takes a toll on the body, especially the backs, for sure. I mean, just think about, the horror stories. If anybody studied the Industrial Revolution, I mean, the working conditions in some of the warehouses in the United States and the factories were just horrendous, right? People losing limbs. This was well before the child labor laws, so you had like little kids working in just horrible conditions. They were breathing in, thick black smoke. It was just horrible. And a lot of the reason why that improved was, number one, because of the unions, right? Because of the labor unions. But number two is because we've actually automated a lot of those processes, right? To make robots do them. So it's just a natural progression. Hey, Bob says millions will need to make the robots and to maintain the robots, for sure. Absolutely. Western Mass Dave says this is a natural progression of technology. I totally agree. And change is always, you know, very scary and difficult, right? I always try to go back and watch some of the original interviews, like on the Today Show. The funniest one that I actually have saved on my computer is when the first iPhone first came out and it had email. I believe that was it. It was either they were talking about email or they were talking about the iPhone. And I think it was Matt Lauer at the time, before, you know, he got canceled for his horrible actions. But he was like, why would I ever want to have an iPhone? Why do I need to send an email to somebody? I could just write a letter at the post office. You know, why do I need to text somebody? I could just call them, right? And now looking back on that in hindsight, like, you can't live without your phone. Like, it's nearly impossible, particularly if you work. It's nearly impossible, right? Another one of my favorite ones, and I know it was kind of a joking matter because it was on, I think it was The Late Show, whatever talk show that David Letterman used to run. I think it was The Late Show. He had Bill Gates on there, and they were talking about the internet. And this was the very, very early innings of the internet. And Bill Gates is like, no, the internet is great. You know, you could actually watch a sports broadcast and you could save it and you could play it back. And then he's like, does radio ring a bell? And he was, you know, trying to make a joke. But he's like, we already have the radio. He's like, we don't need that. So yeah, I don't believe the doom narrative of AI. Right? Think about the doom narrative of the year 2000. You know, Y2K. People thought that the world was going to end with Y2K. You know, the world's going to go on. Everything is going to be fine. It's just going to be a little bit different. And history shows that those who can adapt and not resist the change will make a fortune. It's like that in every cycle. So if you embrace the change and you adapt and you're on the forefront of the innovation, you will go along for the ride and you will make a fortune. All the early adopters, right? I mean, how many people are like, oh my gosh, if I just bought Apple in 1998 or 2000, oh my gosh, if I just bought Amazon, you know, back in 2012, right? It's similar, I think. Hey, NMB45, what's up? So some jobs will be created as a direct result of automation, and some other jobs will be created as a consequence of the worker displacement. It's all about adaptation. I agree. I think that's better put than my 30-minute ramble, for sure. I think that's spot on. But happy Friday to you, by the way, NMB45, as we are streaming here at Herald Square, right outside the Macy's. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these live streams every single day, usually starting at 8:30 p.m. We also write a free financial newsletter for the chat called Behind the Street. We cover a lot of the things we talk about on the live stream, as well as the US equity markets, emerging markets, fixed income, and New York City real estate. If you want to sign up for that, go ahead and scan the QR code on your screen or type !news, NEWS, and the Nightbot will drop the link to our Substack. It's a great way to stay up to date on the financial markets, and it's a free way to support the channel. Wow, a lot of people out. Lots of foot traffic early. And it's probably still, what is it, 7 o'clock at night? Maybe 6:40? Hey, Tug Carter, what's up? Says, yeah, Tom, you're on early. Yeah, you know, I have a dinner to go to tonight, so I'm like, you know what, I want to stream. I want to try to be consistent and stream every day. Right? That's my goal for this year, is to be diligent and disciplined to stream every day. It's fun. I like it. It's good exercise. But yeah, I can't do it tonight. I have dinner. But hey, Brad, what's up? This is outside of Macy's. This is the world's largest department store. But could we do a quick time check in the chat? I just want to make sure we are on time. Peter says you need a social life as well. Yeah, well, I mean, we're socializing with, you know, probably like, what, 500-600 people? I can't see how many people are in the chat anymore for whatever reason. And then tonight I'm going to hammer some steaks at a really nice steakhouse with people, so. Mark, what's up? Says, good evening from Perth, Australia. I heard Perth is fantastic. Absolutely gorgeous. And this is your summer, right? So Australia, this is your summer. So you're opposite of us. I wish I was in Australia right now, I guess. This used to be a Victoria's Secret. Now it's Capital One Cafe. Wow, hang with Mark Mom. Hopefully everybody's all right. Hang with Mark Mom's like, hopefully, says you haven't been on vacation in over, what was that, 4 years? Let me see. Wow, 4 years, yeah. I don't really go on traditional vacations. I try to merge my work in with like a vacation, right? So if I go to Miami for a week, I'll set up like a few meetings down there, and then I'll take like 2 or 3 days just to relax, kind of unwind. But oh, a little bit of an update, kind of on the gauging the housing market and the rental market down in South Florida. I was expecting 2024, this is really the heightened snowbird season, they kind of call it, which a lot of people from Canada come down to South Florida. I was expecting 2024 to really, really slow down in Miami. I was very wrong. So I've been getting, quite honestly, inundated with requests on Airbnb from people wanting to rent out my place. It's been, I would say the demand is probably 2x than it was last year. For whatever reason, I don't know. I actually thought 2024 was going to be way slower than 23. I have no idea what's going on, but the demand is insane. If I wanted to, I could be totally booked out all the way until May, which is, you know, generally is the busy season down there. The busy season is usually the end of January until the 1st of May, and then it slows down significantly because, you know, very seldom does anybody want to be in Miami or South Florida in the summer, right? It's so hot and it's so humid. I mean, a lot of people don't like the humidity, but yeah, it's a crazy amount of demand. Crazy demand. Hey, Vivian, says Tom, as a retired banker, love Capital One Bank's cafe idea. I think that's a genius idea too, Vivian. That's an unbelievably genius idea, because if you think about traditional retail banking, it was, in my eyes, it was totally dead, right? How many millennials or Gen Z people do you know actually walk into a physical retail banking branch to do banking anymore? The answer is zero. I don't. I've never been in a physical bank. I mean, I don't even know how long. The last time is when I had to open my business bank account at Chase, when I started this business. Then I've never really been back before. So you need something to drive people there. And the cafe idea is genius. So you have all the tellers, you have all of the business bankers, and then you have a place where people can work on their laptops. So imagine if you're a small business banker in there and you see the same people every day getting coffee. You know, chances are they're a startup founder. You know, they're a small business owner, and you could build that relationship and try to open accounts, you know, try to open business credit cards. I think that is, whoever came up with that idea deserves like a monster raise, because that is such a good idea. You know, I mean, what would you rather do? Go to this Chase Bank that looks all miserable, or go to the Capital One Cafe where you can sit down and get some work done, and it's an inviting environment? I think that's an awesome idea. All right, we are right outside of the Empire State Building right here on 5th Avenue. Yeah, yesterday at 15 is like so true. I never go to the bank branches. I never, ever, ever go. Hey, DA says, hey, Tom. Wow, cool. I didn't know Capital One had the cafe. I think there's a few other locations in the city too, right by the Bloomberg building, I believe. Hey, hang with Mark Mom says, Tom, try Airbnb with your Miami place. Have a clean clean after each stay, and the funds are deposited directly to your bank account. Yeah, so that's really what I've been doing. I exclusively do Airbnb for 30-day plus stays. In my experience, and I kind of want your expertise on this, hang with Mark Mom, because I know you do have multiple investment properties. But I think a 30-day rental plus is, you know, I don't know why anybody would want to take a ride on one of those things. I just don't get the business model. I just don't get it. Those little rickshaws or whatever they're called. Anyway, but from my experience, if you get a 30-day plus rental, so monthly rentals or longer, the quality of the tenants, I mean, just goes through the roof. The worst experiences I've had was with like weekend rentals, daily rentals. It's no good. If you can get somebody to commit for 30 days, you know, 2 to 3 months, chances are they're very respectable people, they have good jobs, or it's an entire family that's looking to buy in the neighborhood, and they're just using your place to kind of scope out the neighborhood and check it out. So okay, hang with Mark Mom says, I go to my bank branch to wire and transfer funds, title agencies to get to escrow. Michael says, ever try a Peter Luger steak? Yeah, I have. And I think Peter Luger's a little bit overrated. I think there's a lot better steaks you can get in the city. I think Peter Luger's is very, very expensive, and there's much better steakhouses in New York City, in my opinion anyway. I guess it just depends on preference, but yeah, that's a good idea. Hang with Mark Moms like Tom. Know the tech conferences dates down there too. Consider 1-week rentals for those techies that just come to town. That's actually a really good idea, and I could probably push the pricing on that. I never thought about it. Never thought about that. But it's also, I'm kind of being a little bit selfish because I like to go down there and stay there myself as well. But the demand is high. The demand is crazy high, and I was not expecting that this year. I was expecting a huge taper in 2024, but It's quite the opposite. All right, this is Koreatown, 32nd Street. Lady O's, Tom, what time is your dinner? Dinner's at 7:40 p.m. What is it, 6:40 now? 6:45? Oh, cool. Hang with Mark Mom. If you send me an email and if your son is ever in Miami, more than welcome to stay in my place. JF's is 30 plus rentals, aka Midtown will usually attract remote workers, travel nurses. Oh, you're totally spot on. Yeah, JF, you're absolutely 100% bang on accurate with that. That's exactly what I've experienced. Totally. Someone says, am I the kind of type to show up 15, 20 minutes early or right on time? For dinner, right in ballpark on time. Yeah, I'd say, right on time. I do the best I can. For meetings and stuff, I like to be a little bit early, but in Manhattan, that's almost never the case. It's almost impossible to be early. It's either you're on time or you're late in the city. Just because there's so much chaos. Not in a bad way, but I think you guys understand what I mean. The city is a very chaotic place, my friends. Hold on one second. Yeah, and I have another prediction, and I think it's a little bit of a contrarian prediction because recently, I would say as recently as like 5 years, 5-7 years plus now, there's been a huge push in the real estate investment community to really, really hate on single family homes as investments. But I think the market is so stacked. I think the market is so saturated with a lot of these multifamily deals. I actually think a lot of very quality multifamily projects that were done, those deals that were done over the last 5 years, I think a lot of them are gonna go south, I really do. And I think the business model of buying single family homes and renting them, I think that's gonna be a very, very lucrative opportunity because what I'm seeing, people want space. And I think at least once in your life cycle, if you've experienced the apartment living, right, like living in an apartment complex on top of one another, and then you get that taste of kind of living in an actual home and you have a backyard and a front yard and you don't have any neighbors, it's like a drug. It's crazy. I've experienced that drug, right? Being from New York, you're living on top of one another, it's crazy. And then you go back to a place like my neighborhood and it's an actual house and you're like, holy crap, and it's a fraction of the cost. I think there's going to be increased demand for people wanting to rent, not own, but rent single family homes. So that's sort of my maybe a little bit contrarian of a thesis there. DA says, I was going to ask, why don't you rent your place for 1 year, but you stay there at your house yourself? Yeah, so it's a twofold reason. If you can rent to somebody for, let's say, 1 or 2 month duration, you can generally tend to get right around a 10 to 15% premium on the price. If you lock somebody into a 12-month rental, I could probably only rent my house out for, let's say, $3,000. But if you do it on like a 1 to 3 month time frame, you can probably, I've rented my entire place out. The highest I think I've ever rented it out is $4,700. And that's a lot, okay? That's a lot. But if you're a New Yorker, you're spending $4,700 a month on a 1-bedroom apartment that's 670 square feet, okay? So you're more than happy, to work remote in Miami in a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, 1,600 square feet, front yard, backyard, for $4,700. That's nothing to you, right? So that's another reason you can tend to push pricing a little bit higher for a shorter term duration stay, because everything is furnished for you. You don't have to buy any furniture. If I'm going to sign a 12-month lease with somebody, chances are they're going to want to put their own furniture in there. They're going to want to do their own stuff. So hey, Liz is here. What's up? Hang with Mark Mom says, Tom, I rent 2 traveling nurses for 3 months. They have gigs all the time. Very easy. Yeah, and travel nurses do very well too. That's a really good job. Very lucrative job, travel nurse. All right, this is Madison. We're just gonna cross over once we have the light. This used to be a WeWork. I think it actually still is the WeWork office. Oh, Estelle says, Tom, I used to work for a travel nurse company as a recruiter assistant. The nurses make great money and they have great benefits too. Yeah, I could imagine. And I never knew that before. I only really found that out about 1.5 years ago. I think it actually was from a viewer who was a travel nurse that sent me an email. Yeah. Now, they deserve every penny they get, right? It's a very tough job. Being on the road all the time. That's another industry that I think is going to grow. The home healthcare business and travel nurse. And we'll talk about this later. And I believe there's going to be a stronger push for aging in place at home, as opposed to, nobody wants to be in a nursing home, something like that. So I think the business of home health care, right, having a home health aide come to the home, administer medication, do all that, I think that business is going to do really well. And travel nurse. Now that's kind of my background. So I spent about a decade in tech sales, and a lot of my customers, some of my biggest customers I had, were some of the largest and publicly traded home healthcare companies, like Motive Care, ticker symbol MODV, I believe. I forget the ticker, but they were one of my biggest customers. Motive Care, Ultimate Care, Nursing Personnel Home Care, which is right around the corner from Peter Luger's. And we helped them build out all of their electronic visit verification software. So back in the day, I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with the home healthcare business, but home health aides used to have to go on site and manually, with physical paper, write down, okay, did I administer medication? Did I do the Hoyer lift? Did I, bathe the patient? And you'd have to keep track of this stuff on physical paper. It was wild when I found out that was the case. And they would also have to keep tabs of their timesheets on paper. So that created tons of administrative backlog and increased the employee churn, because timesheets were inaccurate, home health aides weren't getting paid for the correct hours. So we digitized the entire thing. So it's all on your smartphone, right? You have all of your electronic medical records directly on the smartphone. You have your electronic visit verification punch in and punch out that has GPS coordinates locked, so they actually could tell if you're on site at the patient's location. And that increased employee retention in a huge way, because the timesheets were accurate, right? And the home health aides wouldn't have to go all the way into the office on the weekend to physically turn in their timesheets. So I'm very, very familiar with that industry. And I think it's going to grow. But my friends, I think we are going to cut it for tonight. I want to thank all of you for joining us here on Walks on Wall Street. If you enjoyed the stream, feel free to leave a like on the video. Click the subscribe button if you're new, share the show with your friends. And if you want to sign up for our free investing newsletter, you can go ahead and scan the QR code on your screen, punch in your email, or type !news, NEWS in the chat, and the Nightbot will drop the link to our Substack. So guys, we'll see you tomorrow, Saturday night in New York. Have a great weekend. Lady O, hang with Mark Mom, all of our good moderators. Enjoy the weekend, and we will see you all right back here tomorrow. Andy, I appreciate it. Thanks so much. We'll see you guys soon. Take care.